You're watching PEGRI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
Oh, you didn't know? Yes, it is. Welcome everybody to the Hot Tag. Oh yeah, that's a tag, baby. From the Official Wrestling Museum, we are your hosts. I am Angel, and I'm joined by the Official Wrestling Museum's Hall of Famer, Low Life. And we are here this week answering what? Your questions. Once again, why? Because you guys are awesome. You keep sending them in to us, and we thank you guys very much for doing so. Father's Day was just around the corner. It's a pretty cool day for us, as pops, and we celebrated Pro Wrestling Day on June 13th. Make sure you guys scan that QR code because we're still trying to make it a national day. And we were also a part of RI Anime Con. We're going to show some pictures with that, and we did a lot of things in the community. So all that stuff's coming up in future episodes of what we're going to do. And make sure you check out our YouTube page too, because we're going to start loading up a lot of that kind of content on that page so you guys can check it out and see all the great stuff. And we have this great show called Down the Aisle that gets a lot of hits and views, and it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, if you like theme songs.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff with theme songs. And
We got our hands in a lot of different projects, don't we?
yeah.
Well,
Speaking of hands in.
Yeah, I was going to go with that.
All right.
All right. Okay, I'll let you go. He's trying to steal my bit here. You see that? I'm going to steal his cheese.
right.
I'm going to put a block of cheese here next week. Just watch.
Oh, man. All right. Shirley from Providence.
Hey, Shirley.
Is it true that Shane Douglas won't sign as Dean Douglas? I have no idea.
So that is true. So
I don't blame him.
Well, to date, there's only been 3 signatures of Dean Douglas. The last one, it was a kid. He was sick at the hospital, and he asked him to sign it. He did it, and he promised the kid he would never sign it again.
So some kid, can you sign this, please, as Dean Douglas? What kid? Maybe that kid deserves to be sick because
Well, Dean Douglas is a pretty cool gimmick. Scratching on the boards.
it was horrible.
Come on,
It was
introduce
a
Matt
horrible
Striker.
gimmick. I can't imagine some kid sitting there like on his deathbed, like, please, Dean Douglas. First off, I can't imagine him asking for Dean Douglas. Like, what wrestler do you want to meet, Billy?
Well, at
Dean
that,
Douglas.
I don't know when he actually got a sign, but if it was the time that he was Dean Douglas or just got out WWF at that time,
Then that
I
kid
don't know. I
deserved
remember
it.
seeing it on TV. I'm like, oh man, that's Dean Douglas. Like to me, he was like a big heel.
Then that kid deserved whatever disease he had. On to the next question.
Oh my God, we're getting canceled. He was doing good for some weeks, guys. Give him some credit.
Shane Douglas, okay. Dean Douglas, yeah.
I don't know. I like Dean. I thought Dean was more entertaining.
I'd rather have Shane Douglas sign a skateboard from back in the Dynamic Dude days. Or Frisbee.
Okay.
You don't remember the Dynamic Dude?
I do remember the demo. All right, Faraz from East Greenwich, Rhode Island. What is AEW's biggest mistake they are making? And we only go with one.
Yeah, I guess for the
Jeez.
question you have to answer with just one.
Oh man.
I think you could pick multiple items.
Yep.
I would just say they signed way too much talent. That's number one. There's so much talent that a guy will debut, like say a CM Punk or Edge, and within 2 or 3 weeks, that guy who's a star has already felt demoted. And I think part of that is because there's so much other talent on there, and then they just don't use them properly. There's so many things you could pick. I'm going to say that they sign everyone under the sun.
Yeah, I'm gonna say another thing with them is too many titles. You
That's
know what I
another
mean?
thing, yep.
You watch a show and it's like, it's kind of like the guys that don't have a title match. It's
Are
like
more important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's just a prop at this
I
point.
think there's like 18 titles over there.
It is ridiculous,
They
the
add in the
amount
ROH titles, which I don't, and you know, we've each picked a thing. I think another thing is just lack of storytelling.
Yeah, they don't
Long-term storytelling.
It's not
Storytelling
long-term.
in general.
Yep. Oh, you guys show
It's a
opposite.
bigger table now, you know?
Right? I like this table. You know what I mean? If we can take a nap on it if we needed to,
Put someone through it.
let's do it.
All right, Lucas from Fall River, Mass. Great place. Love Fall River. Love it.
You know why it's called Fall River? They had a river once that fell.
I wish it would fall into a river.
Oh, okay.
Fall River, one of my favorite places. Fall River, New Bedford, my
We're
favorite
so,
places to go.
yeah, so getting canceled.
Love those two places. And Dartmouth even more because it's in between them. Anyway, AEW questions. How does AEW and allow Darby Allin to do what he does to himself? Because people watch.
Yeah.
It's like the crash test dummy. It's like the oh my God, what's this? You know when Darby Allin comes out, you know you're gonna get the oh my God, what's this guy gonna do today?
Yeah. They're going to have so many waivers and things signed on that guy. And if not, they are.
Back in the you had Jeff Hardy, you had Cactus Jack.
Yeah, but these guys.
This guy
they're
is
mellow.
them times 10 because
Yeah.
he's just the things he like when he jumped off that ladder through the glass. That was insane to me. I haven't seen the recent thing. You were just showing me a clip beforehand of him being hung upside down and
Yeah,
being
super
swung.
kick.
I honestly think that there isn't something someone would present to him where it would be off the table. I
Yeah.
think he would do anything. Like if they said to him, let's have a match on top of the Empire State Building and I'll dump you over the side and you can have a parachute. I think he would do it. I
Yeah.
think he would do anything
And what-
presented to him.
And I think too is they know that, and they're not. Don't get me wrong. They are protecting them. They that glass spot. They said they had a trained stunt person out there, going over it early in the day. But the super kick spot that we looked at when he was hanging upside down that I just showed you, you could see the Young Bucks kicked him. Yeah, they caught the upper chest, but he super kicked in the face in his jawline.
No.
And it's like they know he's going to eat it, so let's just give it to him to make it look good, And it's like, where's the protection? You know what I mean? Because somebody like him, he can make you a lot of money over the years, and he's going to be. That kid ain't making it to 40.
No.
It's sad too. All right, let's see what we got here. A whole lot there. Everybody wants to come out and play. All right, Stacy from, I think it's supposed to be East Providence, Rhode Island. I'm not really sure. It says something Providence, and it's kind of, so we're going to go with East Providence, we'll say.
Providence.
What is your thoughts on Samoa Joe?
Samoa Joe, man, he is Samoa Joe and AJ Styles are my two favorite guys of like the 2000s.
Yep.
I love Samoa Joe. I mean, I know I was so happy to see him get this AEW run with the
Yep.
title. I didn't think that he was gonna get that. So anything with Samoa Joe now is like almost like the cherry on the sundae. He's done all his best work. He's not gonna have the matches he used to have, but I mean, Joe is awesome. A guy who you can believe, too. Like when he comes out, he's supposed to be a heel, but people don't want to boo him because almost of that fear factor. I don't want to boo this guy. I want him on my side. And
Right.
Joe is one of my favorite guys. You can remember the match him and AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels had in TNA. I can't remember the name of the paper. The three-way. It was incredible. And he was a guy wrestling in that X division, and he's a 300-something pound guy.
Yeah.
He could move back then. He can still move. Like I said, he can't do what he used to, but Yeah, Joe
he's
is
always
a
a very
special talent.
Yeah, he's very talented. He's an all-around athlete. We actually have a couple of his towels in the museum, which is pretty cool. But another good thing about Samoa Joe is last week's hot tag. We were talking about Otis. If he would ever be, somebody wrote in if he would be a top contender, top champion, and we said he really doesn't need a belt. Samoa Joe is another one of those guys that really doesn't need a title. And like you said, it was nice to see him that he got that rep and the respect to get that title. It was great to see. But somebody like a Samoa Joe, his impact is so there.
Yeah.
You don't need it. And remember, he called WrestleMania in a poncho.
See, I don't.
You know
I
what I
think
mean?
that was one that I did. If that was the COVID year,
No, it was right before COVID.
all right, so I don't really remember that. So I mean, I know about all the jokes and stuff. That year must have had some stuff going on, and I don't remember. So
It's just old age.
all right. Would you like to see Jeff Hardy back in WWE? And that's Mike from Woonsocket.
Well, Mike.
Me personally, I don't care. I would like to see him go back for the Hall of Fame. Maybe get his. I hate the term get his flowers. Go back, get your accolades. But as far as wrestling, I think that the guy has a lot of problems that he needs to fix on his own self, and I think that that's apparent, and I think that he should do that. He's a guy whose body's got to be beat up. So as far as wrestling, he's done it all. He's done it all.
Yeah, I agree. I think Hall of Fame would be great for him. If he re-signed, he went back, maybe an agent. I see Matt being more of an agent than Jeff. You know what I mean?
I would
just
think-
their personalities.
I would rather him go somewhere that he can contribute, like an NWA or even a TNA at this point.
Yeah,
where
but
he
like
can
you said,
be a
his-
big star and contribute his stardom to help that company. I would
Yeah,
rather
you could just see
that.
though his body's so
Yeah.
beat up. I think we've heard great stories that he's getting on the right track with things and doing the right things, and it's great that he's doing that. But I think his body is just so beat that
Yeah.
at this point, like you said, there's really nothing for him to prove or do.
Right.
Why beat your body up more? You have a family at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And when I said him to go to like NWA or TNA, I also meant again, he'd be their biggest star. So no, you're not going to see him every week on a limited basis. But I think him in NWA would be huge for NWA. Because he still has a huge fan following.
Yeah, he really does. I got that stuck in my head. All right. Devin from Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Is NXT to WWE as the Paw Sox was to the Red Sox?
I mean, that's a good way of putting it. Pretty much, they bring the people into NXT, and it's like, okay, even for example, people will always say, oh, it's like their developmental league. But if you think about it too, a guy comes back from injury on the Red Sox, maybe they send him down to the Paw Sox for a week or
Yep.
two, get the swing back or get the pitching back. So it's not, you'll see some guys maybe go down there, maybe get to brush up on some of their get the ring rust out. So that's a pretty good the way of putting it,
And when a lot of
Try
people
some
used
things
to
out.
ask and stuff, I said, yeah, it's kind of like the farm league to WWE.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's pretty cool that somebody is catching on or they have that thought process because it's basically what it is.
And I think that's what ROH should be for AEW. I don't know if that's necessarily what it is.
What it is.
Yeah,
I know they tape it and I think they play it on YouTube or something.
I know what ROH is to me. It's like the 2 times I've gone to AEW, it was, I gotta sit through 45 more minutes.
Yeah,
and
and
you shouldn't feel like that.
No, and they cram. When I went to AEW, they crammed, I think, 11 matches in like a half hour.
No.
It was nuts. And it's like, you have them come out just to do 2 spots, and it's over. Why? Just so you can record them?
So the thing too with NXT, where you said is it like the Paw Sox. Now the Red Sox also have the Lowell Spinners. They have like yeah. So they have the Red Sox, and then there's the Paw Sox, and then underneath that there's 3 or 4 other teams that would work their way up to the Paw Sox, and I think that the WWE has that when they have like they had NXT UK, and then they would work with other places like Heartland or
Well, right. You
know,
look at your
OVW,
independent
yeah.
leagues, and they work up and because if you're getting pulled, especially if you get pulled now from an independent league, 99.9% you're going to NXT.
Right.
You're not
it's
getting
not like
that
the
silver
Monday Night
light.
Wars where they would take you and put you right on Raw. You know what I mean? Now it's like, no, you'll probably go do a little run in NXT first.
Yep.
Get used to the WWE system. Did you like the team of Hacksaw Jim Duggan?
Hello.
Super Crazy from Lee from Providence, Rhode Island. Okay, did I like them? I don't even know that team existed. Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Super Crazy?
Yeah. They wrestled a few weeks.
I don't
months
even know
together.
that team existed.
So, to be honest with you, oh,
I can't. I just,
so I don't know. I kind of thought it was an interesting team for some reason, and it did kind of work for me in the sense that I was invested in it. But for a long term, I don't think it would have been spectacular.
I don't know that team even existed. I just
Hey,
can't believe.
yeah, it did.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't know. Super crazy.
Oh.
You don't.
All right, what's the next one here?
Oh, this is a good one. All right. Ben from Bristol, Rhode Island. Who was a better wrestler, Bret Hart or Owen Hart?
I think we got this one before.
This
and
was
we
the one
put it back.
before, and we put it back in.
Man, this is a tough one because Brett was the more successful. Owen, I think. So if you ask me, it's hard because Brett's one of my favorite. I know he's your favorite guy.
Absolutely.
He's definitely one of my favorite guys. He's one of Sergeant Stryker's favorite guys. But if you were to ask me who the better all around of the two were, I would say Owen. Owen could do more aerial stuff. Brett was just a top guy, but he was more boring. Like I think
Oh,
Owen.
watch yourself over
Yeah.
here, boy.
I think-
Okay,
I think you could
You're
do
already
more
on the
with Owen.
border of getting canceled. You say something like that, that's it. We lose, we lose the contract and everything.
I'm gonna say Owen was the better all around.
Yeah, look at a picture. Keep yourself occupied. Okay.
Okay, Hacksaw and Super Crazy.
So I'm gonna say this. I'm a huge Bret Hart fan. I think Bret Hart was absolutely that stigma of the best there is, best there was, best there ever will be is him. I do believe Owen Hart was exactly at Bret's level at two different, I think, got hot, two different levels. You know
Do
what I
you
mean?
think-
So Bret was, so let's look, so we do a four corners, like the Mount Moore of wrestling, right? So
Rushmore. Rushmore.
Sorry, it got really hot.
All right.
Okay, so Bret, boom, he's up here. Hey, wow, pink for pink. Pink and black, look at that, that worked.
All right.
Okay, he's up here, he's there. Owen had to climb to get back there. And everything that Owen brought to the table, his acrobatic skills, his mic skills, his heel skills was unbelievable. He brought him to that level where if you're gonna put faces, it's very simple to put Bret Hart and Owen Hart as two of the four faces.
Do you think that, okay, you take out Owen Hart and you put in like Bruce Hart or Keith Hart or any of the other Harts,
Yep.
and you do that same, because originally Bruce Hart was the one that was pitching to have that feud with Bret, and
Yep.
that would not have worked because no one cares about Bruce Hart.
Yeah.
Owen Hart made it work and he went from being a low card babyface from a nothing tag team into that position of top heel.
It
or
also worked
one
too
of the
because
top
he
heels.
was the baby of the family.
Yeah.
So that right there just sold the storyline itself that he's the baby, has a lot to prove. Then coming on, winning the Slammies,
Yeah,
being a
the
two-time
Slammies.
Slammy, winning the King of the
He
Ring.
was a guy who could take something and run with it.
He
and
could.
I know, after the Montreal screw job, they tried to have Owen come out and have a match with Shawn.
Yep.
And ended up not really. He had the one match, I think, but Shawn didn't. It was said that Shawn didn't want to work with Owen. I think that would have been the time to cash in on Owen,
Yeah,
if no other time.
I think it was because he was going to outshine him after Paradise.
I think that
You know
had,
what I mean?
had they
Shawn
had
wasn't
Owen
in
win the
best
belt
at
and
that
hold it
time.
from like December till February or something, maybe,
Yep.
or even I don't know,
Yeah, I think another thing too with Owen is he was great on making ribs in the locker room. Not like ribs like baby back ribs, but like jokes and playing pranks.
ribs sounds good
You know
to
what I
me.
mean? Right? Tell me about it. And I think that helped him being able to play this ultimate heel and carrying on storylines because he had that fun way about him. So,
What really hurts pro wrestling today, Tom from East Providence?
well, there's a certain individual today.
I think that
No,
I think that
come on, this is easy. I say it almost every single week on one of our shows.
what?
I even showed you a picture. Social media, online, internet, that burns professional wrestling to the ground.
Yeah, because
each week
I think it does, but I also still think that wrestling hasn't figured out how to completely use social media to its advantage. I'm not saying I want
True.
that, but
True.
I feel like that sometimes they do, but they don't fully take advantage. Like when, say, like for example, Braun Strowman and Damian Priest are having a feud, and then they're having a feud for the last month and a half, and then you see on one of their Facebook pages, or they're at Disneyland together. That takes it away.
Right.
It takes away from it.
that's something.
I remember a
thing, too.
story. I remember a story. Jim, I might have told it. This is what wrestling is to me. Jim Cornette was like, "Yeah, it was our day off. I was at whatever amusement park, and he was in line at the Flume, the log ride, and he said the Rock and Roll Express were up at the front with a couple girls, and Jim Cornette was in the back of the line, and then of course he sees them, and he's like, well, I can't just be like." Not, everyone's around. So he's cussing them out. Blah, 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 blah. Actually, it was the other way around. Jim Cornette was in the front because he said, I was in the log ride, and while I was in the log, I was, blah, 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 blah. And he said, like, that's how it was. That's how you had to be. Whereas nowadays, those guys would be together.
Right.
And it just
Nobody, that kayfabe is gone.
Yeah.
Even
It's corny, but at the same time, it's not.
it's not. That was the magic of wrestling. That's
Right.
what made you become fans and buy into it. Even today, you have somebody and say they do the steel stair spot and they're throwing it down. They're like, oh my God, that looks so devastating. Now you have 100 different angles being shown online and you can see it didn't hit.
The solid steel steps,
Yeah.
when they pick them up, a hollow.
Right. And it's like, what? That just gave away the illusion. But if you look at it, say back in the 80s, somebody picks up those steps and they threw them down. You're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
he just crushed Hogan's head. And you say, oh no, man, he didn't. What are we going off of? We can't go off of anything because there was nothing for us to watch. There was nothing for us to see. So it was our imagination, and we could believe what we wanted to believe and buy into the storyline the way it should have been bought into, instead of, oh man, yeah, well that just gave that away.
Stuff like that. I think, what you said, and for me, I said kayfabe. Like when Sasha and Bailey were having those awesome matches, and they had the one it wasn't the Brooklyn match, it was the next one that was like the last woman standing, I think it was. And Sasha lost, and they got the flowers, and she gave the flowers to the girl Izzy. And it's like, she did that because of how mean, she like ripped something up of hers earlier. To me, it's like, no, you were a heel, and that's what you're supposed to do. And then you're going to go and give her flowers. You just killed it. And
Yeah.
So I'm going to say, you know what, man, I know a lot of newer guys will be like, kayfabe, schmayfabe, but it's it's what made wrestling, it's what wrestling was fun.
Exactly.
Think of guys in like, they talk about like Grizzly Adams would go home and Jake the Snake would be like, we thought our dad's neck was broken. And, he'd be playing it up at home, scaring the kids and stuff. Think of the level that some of these guys would go to protect kayfabe. And now it's like, not even a thing. It's like, think of the levels that some of these guys would do.
Right.
You
And
know,
you know what?
Road
It's-
Warriors the Road Warriors going to like a airport. We can't book our flights. Ellering's got to do it, or the Samoans and stuff acting that way.
And that's what makes everything believable. That's what gets fans into it. It's funny too. We talk about July 29th a whole lot of times. I never knew your personal name, your real name, and to this time around, it was always just Lowlife.
That
You know
was
what I mean?
part of the reason.
That was it. People come and they're like, "Oh, I'm here for so and so." Who? Oh, he wrestles. Who are you talking about?
Going to that.
Oh, he goes, oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, hold on a second.
Going to that point when I was out, when I had broken my leg many years back, and Rocco D'Alessandro called my house.
Yeah.
He called my house to check on me, maybe a couple days after I was out of the hospital. And I answered the phone, hello, is Low Life there? Like, who? I knew who it was. I'm like, what do you mean you're calling me asking for Low Life? I don't know your real name. So yeah.
Right, and it's just, but that's how it was. The respect's there, and it's funny too because like my kid's like, I want to call him Uncle because you guys have been friends for so long, so he's gonna be Uncle Lowlife, and he's like, yeah, that's cool.
I mean, it's just a
But
nickname.
Low,
It's just
you know,
part of it.
but
I
that's
mean,
but to have my kid think that though,
Yeah.
to me that makes me proud because he understands the respect of not breaking it. You know what I mean?
Even here in the studio, they call me Low Life. It's just,
Yeah,
you know, but it's case, you know, I think, you know, even with my son, like he knows that there's you know, he's not fully understanding of wrestling. He knows it's scripted and stuff somewhat,
What?
but he doesn't either.
I've never seen one of those in my life.
But it's like, it's so much more fun to believe than
Yeah.
not to believe. Just
It
like Christmas
is.
and everything, it's so much fun to
Yeah.
believe than not to believe.
Absolutely, because you know that's what gives. Look, I say there's 8 minutes of BS for a 10-minute match, but it's worth it because if you can come out, you can love me, hate me, want me, or want to kill me, but you're gonna remember me. And the reason that I say that is because you can come and you can be in the best mood of your life. You can have the worst day of your life. You could just got fired. You just lost a loved one, but you're taking your kid just to try to get your kid's mind off a show. And if I can go out there and make you buy into what I'm selling, in the sense of my character, my story, and get your mind off that, that's magic.
There's times
You know what I
even
mean?
now where,
And that's what makes wrestling special.
yeah, there's times even now where I'm watching and I'm like, maybe it's a close pin or something, and it's like in my head, I'm like, I know there's no way so and so is going over, but maybe there's a close pinfall, and I'm like, oh, for that 3 seconds they had me, and
Right.
that's to me.
And that's big for
To me,
us.
yeah, to me, that's one of the best feelings in the world because I'm like, I'll always tell people like they got me on that one.
Yep.
You know, and those are special moments, and you know, they still come. They're far and few between, but
That's the only thing. Once you get into the business, you kind of can read matches. You kind of see what things are going. So when those times come, it's like, all right, cool. You know, when Cody won the title at WrestleMania, like it was common sense, but the way my son was just so hyped and
Yeah.
all this stuff, and I'm like, yeah, they got me to pop, and it's like, that's the magic of wrestling, and that's why wrestling I think is so evolved and so much stuff because it constantly gives back on an everyday basis, not just what you see. You can pretend you're a wrestler yourself in your mind. You could walk in the supermarkets and they have those little tags. You can pretend you're a wrestler walking down the aisle, slapping hands. And that can make you feel good if you're a little kid being bullied in school. You know, wrestling gives you those outings that other sports, other entertainments just don't. That's why, you know, we celebrated Pro Wrestling Day on the 13th of June. We have this National Pro Wrestling Day QR code. That's why we keep pushing it each week. It's not because, you know, it's coming from the museum, because the museum really doesn't want credit for it. We want to just say thank you to all the workers, to all the story writers, to all the staffing, to all the camera crew, to everybody that brought wrestling from the days of Artie Goff to what it is today, to give people this outing. Because, you know, we were talking earlier, what's our escape? Yeah, we love our family's there, but wrestling, wrestling's our escape. So to be able to say wrestling is our escape, that speaks volume of how magical it is.
we gotta escape.
We
gotta
do
escape.
have to escape before we get canceled. No, but no, we do have to escape. We thank you guys so much. Keep sending them in through our social media, theofficialwrestlingmuseum.com. We thank you guys very much. You know what they say, you write in the questions.
We got the answers.
See you next week.